last class we have started with pandas and we discussed about what basically we do with pandas, and we started with one of the basic function that we do have in pandas is the series. We talked about the series and we learned how to create series with list, tuple and dictionary, what are the index, and how to do indexing, or you can say the specific value extraction from a series. So today we are talking about more in depth about some various attributes that we do have in series. So just to start with, let me create a new series, and for example let me give it a name. New series I'm going to create, and the name that series I'm going to give here is basically the vegetable, for example. And let me import pandas first to use the series here in this file only, right? So it has been imported. Now I can use the pandas series here. So let me call series. S is in caps of series, and I'm going to create this series using dictionary. So let's say I have potato. I'm just giving some value to this, let's say 3, and then tomato, and the value is for example 6, for example chili, and the value is 2, and let's say pumpkin, and the value is for example 8. Let me create some more. Here is, let's say, carrot, and the value is, let's say, 10, and we have radius. So a big uh, series I have created, and let me call it. Where is the error? Here. Oh, I just need to assign the value to that as well. Fine. So here we have few keys and their values, and this is basically some name of the vegetables that we have used for creating this series. So now we talk about some important attributes that we do have. For example, let's say there is a series and we want to extract the entire or the all values that we do have in that series. So how we can do that? First, I have to write the name of series, which is veg, and then dot values. So this way we can get the whole values that we do have in that series within one go. Now, let's say I need all the indexes that we have in that series. Yes, I can extract that too. So I have to call index to get the index of those that we do have in that series. So we see that we have separated the values and index using these methods, that is values and index. Apart from this, for example, you want to check the shape of the series. Yes, we can check that as well. I believe you remember we have uh, applied those attributes further in, I mean, in NumPy arrays as well. So the similar to that, we can apply those here in on series as well. So let's say it has given me 6. What exactly the 6 is? 6 means the total number of records that we do have in that series. So if you count this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Shape is to get the number of elements that we do have in series. For example, you want to subset this series. So how we'll be doing this? Subset series. We have two options to subset. One is the label and one is the position. So I'll be applying one by one. First, I can subset it like this. Here it is. So it has given me, let me call this veg series here. so that you can validate the output. And you see that at 0 index, what is the value? That is 3. So I can subset it from using position, or you can say index, right? Now it's position. I want to extract based on the label, you can say the name of the index that we have in that series. So name of the index, let's say chili, pumpkin, carrot, radish. So you can extract it from any name like this. Here it is. So this is the output and we call it using label. Basically the name that we do have in index. So we have two options to extract any value, either from the position or from the label. So this is what we say the single records that we want to extract. In case we want to extract multiple records altogether, yes, we can do that as well. So how we are going to do this? We have two options. One is for the range of records, let's say. So how I'll be passing it? Let's say I'm passing it from pumpkin to radish. I have to put that in quotes, right? So once you run it, you see that radish will be included. Pumpkin, carrot and radish. So it has given me a range from that veg series which starts from pumpkin, it goes till radish. And here last range is included for label in case you want to extract based on the label. And the similar thing you can do on position as well. So let's say you want to extract from 1 index till, let's say, 4 index. So it will extract from 1 till 3. Here last range is excluded. It will go till 3 index only. I believe it's clear to you. Here it is. So there are two options to extract that. Either we can extract one by one from label, from position, or in case we want to extract a specific range, for range as well, we can apply label and we can apply position. Now let's talk about that we need something which is not in a range or not in a sequence. So we want to extract, let's say, pumpkin, then radish, or let's say tomato, then pumpkin, then chili. We want to extract something which is not a sequential way, not in any sequence. So yes, we can do that. But to extract that value, what we can do, we have to pass that in list. How we are going to do that? These are the square bracket for the indexing. Then within a list, so these are another list parenthesis. Here I can pass those values. For example, I need tomato separated by comma, then I need radish, for example, and then I need pumpkin. You can follow any sequence for that. Any random variable you can pick it, right? So you see that tomato has been extracted, radish, pumpkin, these three has been extracted. But if you are not going to pass that those value within list, so it will throw error. We can apply and check from there as well. Here it is and it will throw error. And you try to understand what it says. Key error, tomato, radish, pumpkin. We cannot pass directly like this. We have to pass those within list parenthesis, right? So this is the way to do. Apart from this, some more options we do have. For example, we want to extract everything which is after tomato. So that should be in quotes. And we can simply leave that end range as blank. So which it starts from tomato until go till end. And we can also give the last range like this. We can leave the blank for first range like this. Either you put blank or you put nothing. And then I have given pumpkin. So it will extract everything from the starting till pumpkin, and pumpkin will be included, because for label last range is included. So I believe it's clear to you. Now you can extract any value. Now, for example, let's say that I want to put certain interval. Let's say I want to start from 0 index, and every second element I want to extract. That is more positional slicing, we call it. So for example, that's a very basic option. We starts from 1 and we go till 4. For example, I want to start from 1 and every second element I want to extract. So I'll be using it start from 1 index, and every second means I need to apply interval. And what interval I want to apply, I mean how many steps I'll be following, which starts from 1. So I'll be passing that value after 2 columns. So once you run it, you see, let me call Wes here. It starts from 1 index. So what is at 1 index? Tomato is at 1 index, and every second, so 6 tomato, then it will leave chili, it will go to pumpkin, leave carrot, go to radish, and that's it. For example, you need every third. So you see that it will start from 1 index, which is tomato, and every third it will go only to carrot. After that, I don't get any third element from this. So we can do some more positional slicing like this as well. For any interval, we have to apply double columns to do that. Now I'll be coming for one of the most important option here. Although we have already covered that to extract anything based on the position and label, but I want to introduce two new things altogether here, which is lock and iLock. So that is lock, iLock. What is lock and iLock? Lock is label based indexing, and iLock is position based indexing, or you can call it a index based indexing as well. So how we are going to do this? Although we are getting that values without lock and iLock as well, but in case there is something which is written with lock and iLock, so you should be familiar with that what actually lock and iLock is doing. So let me apply one by one. This is the series, and for example, I have given lock. So lock is for what? Lock is for label. So whenever I am defining something using locks, I have to give the name. Something like this. Let's say tomato and till, let's say, carrot. Like this. So I'll run it and I'll get the output. Exact same output we can get using this syntax. Veg, tomato, here it is, and then carrot. Let me comment this loc one, and here it is. You see that the exact same output it has generated. And then why we are using lock? You know, if you define something with lock and iLock, and once you will be dealing with two-dimensional data, the data frames, it will be very helpful. So I'll be covering that part later, but here it is important for you to understand what exactly lock means. So lock means the label, and that is the default option. If you do not apply lock, it takes it as default. And now we talk about the iLock part. Let's say I have written veg dot iLock, and I have written something from 0 index till 4, let's say. So I run it, and you say it started from 0 and it goes till 3. Last range is excluded. So the exact thing we can write like this. Veg, 0 and 4. We don't need to put iLock. Let me comment this part. And here is the output. So lock and iLock is the default option in series. Whether you write it or not, it's up to you, but it's a good practice to write those while you're defining it, because it will be very helpful when you will be dealing with data frames. So I believe it's clear to you that what exactly lock means and what exactly iLock does. Now I'm going to apply some more options or more attributes here. For example, there is a series. here the wedge one, and you want to apply some logical comparison on it. Let's say some condition you want to apply. So you can basically apply, let's say, wedge greater than 2. So it will give you the Boolean output. It will give you the Boolean output. Let me run it. What exactly it has printed? So anything which is greater than 2 is true, and any value which is equal to or less than 2 is false. So this is how it does. So this is one of the option, that in case we want to extract, we want to apply certain condition, but obviously that should be a mathematical values in a series. You cannot apply greater than 2 on alphabetical values. You should be careful for that part. Now it comes, let's say we want to extract exact those values which met this condition. I don't need true false output. So how we'll be writing it? So we need to subset that part basically. How we are going to do it? The same thing, the same condition you are going to apply here, but we have to subset it. How? We have to put the index parenthesis outside our condition, and then we have to call our series. So once we run it, it will give you the filtered output, you can say, or which satisfy this condition which you have given. So in wedge series, whatever we have greater than 2, it has given you as an output. So this is very helpful when we want to extract the exact values. Then we can do something like this. Now we talk about head and tail options that we have in series. Let's say that's a series, that's a very small series. Let's say we have 1000 of records in a series, and I want to see some specific records, and I don't want this Jupyter to scroll down to go through the entire list of entire values of series. So we can basically display few values using head and tail. They are very handy function we do have. So how we'll be writing it? Wedge.head. Head is basically, let me write it here, for top 5 elements. So here in this series, we have 6 elements. So it has given top 5 elements to you. In case you are passing head without any argument, let's say you pass any value to this head, I have given 2. So it will take 2 from the top. In case you are not giving any argument to head, so it will give, then it will give 5 from the top, and if you pass any value, that value from the top. So top 2 element it will extract. You can find more than 5. You can, in case you find you have a series and you want to extract top 100, so you can pass 100 to head. That will also work in that way. And the same goes to the tail option. It gives 5 from the bottom. So once you run it, so it will take last 5 elements from it, and in case you pass any value to tail, it will give that from the bottom. So these 2 from the bottom it has given. In case you pass 3, so 3 from the bottom. In case you pass 1, then 1 from the bottom. So head and tail are very handy function. Now we talk about that we have covered from the top and from the bottom. Let's say I want value mid of this series, which starts from, let's say, 5 and go till 10. So that's a short series. In case here we have total 6 elements and I want from 2 to 4. So how I'll be writing it? Yes, we can write it in a square brackets 2 to 5. So it will extract, it will go from 2 till 5. We can simply do the indexing part here to do that. Head and tail for top and bottoms, and in case we need a specific range, we can pass that in a square bracket. So this is what here it is. Now we talk about, like, let's say in case we want to check any value, we call it check any value belongs to the series, right? Whether it belongs to that series or not. So how I'll be writing this? Yes, we can write it we have to use the is in keywords. For example, here in wedge, I need to check dot is in to check that value. In is in function, I have to pass that. For example, I need to pass, let's say, onion. So when you run it, and it has given you something like this, that there is no onion in this particular wedge series. So it will give you, if we pass something that is already there, for example, I'm passing it, let me copy and paste it. Here only I'm passing the value which is there in series, for example, potato. So once you run it, it will give true to the potato. Spelling is potato, was isn't potato. Let me run it. Potato. It should not give it like this. So it has, for example, I'm passing potato like this. I don't know why it has given this. Let me copy and paste it. Here it is. Let me remove the extra spaces. So it's not giving. Oh yes, basically these are the index, these are not the records. We have to pass the, I was wrong in that way. I have to pass the value, for example, 2. That is there in this particular series or not. You see that 2 is a value of chilies in this series. For chili, we have 2. So I was basically comparing the index. It is not a case. We have to compare the values. So we see that 2 is there at which index, which is chili. So we can write it like this. And to extract the exact similar value, what we can do, as I already conveyed you, we have to use some extra index and we have to subset that value. So we'll be writing like this and we subset it from the square bracket like this, and after that I'll call that series, and once I run it, you see that exact value has been extracted from there. So you will be writing, it is very helpful when you do some extraction from the data frames or series further while performing analysis. In case I need to check whether I can pass more than one value, yes, we can do that. You can pass that after separating comma or what. So you see that there is 2 index that have these 2 values. In this wedge series, it has extracted that and it has shown you here only. So we can apply is in function there. Now, for example, there are few options I'm going to cover. For example, find unique values and their occurrences, or you can say frequencies, right? So let me create a series something like this. Series, let's say new, I have given the name new, and I'm going to create this series something like this. List function I'll be calling like this, and then a b c d is the value. I have to put that in quotes. I'll showcase you how it works. And then I divide it by, I'll multiply it by 4 and I'll call new. And you see that I have created a series where I do have some duplicate records as well with multiple occurrences. So this way, either you can write it manually, but I have basically automated that part. So list function, I have used it here. Let me showcase you how list work. If you apply list to any string, so it return you uh, every record separated by comma. So this is the same thing it has given here, and I have multiplied that from 4. So just to let you know how to find the unique records from a series, so we are going to cover 3 options here. Let me explain you what exactly they are. One is the unique, and another is the n unique, like this, and then we have value counts. So I'll explain you the difference between these three. When we talk about unique basically the total, the name of total unique records, or you can say name of all unique records, right? So unique will revert you the whole unique records that we do have in a series, and n unique will give you the count of unique records. How many unique records we have, unique records, right? And what is value count? Value count will give you the name of unique records with their occurrences. I believe it's clear to you. Unique is what? The total number of unique records that we do have in series. And unique, basically the count of unique records that we do have. Whether we have 2, 3, 4, whatever the value is, that is a numeric value. Value count basically is a combination of, you can say, the unique and their occurrences. It will give you the total number of count of that unique records, that whether it comes twice or thrice or whatever the occurrences we have. So let me apply it here. I have created this new series. So in new series, I am going to apply unique. So unique, what is the unique value that we do have here in this new series? So let me run it. You see that A, B, C, D are the unique value. And if you see this series, these are the 4 total unique values we have in this series. And if we run the n unique, so it will give you the total count of these unique records. So it will be 4 n unique basically. So let me run this. You see that total 4 unique records we have. And if we apply value counts to this, it will give you the total unique records with their occurrences. We see that A is 4 times there, because while we have created this series, we have multiplied by 4. So that total 4 occurrences for A, B, and C and D. So these 3 are the important functions that we basically deals with. Now we are going to talk about the duplicate values as well. Dealing with duplicates, right? So this new, we have lot of duplicates. So how we are apply duplicated value here? So let's say new dot duplicated function we can apply. It will give you the boolean output. You see that is the boolean output, and to get the exact value, we can subset this part like this, right? Like this. So once you run it, so it will give you the whole duplicate values. What are the duplicates that we do have in this entire new series? So duplicated will showcase you the whole duplicate values. Apart from this, there is one function we have in this Python. I'm directly going to drop the duplicate values from here. So I'll apply drop duplicates. What it will does, it will drop all the duplicates from this series. So we see that we have only unique records, which is A, B, C, and D. We don't have any duplicacy here. Now let's say that's this is something which is the functions that we deal on daily basis. Apart from this, some more options we do have in series. For example, we want to sort those series. I have created that series which I have created, and we have this new series. So I'm going to apply sorting on this. So how to sort the data? Let me insert the cell above. Sorting the data. So you know that sorting apply either in a numeric order or in alphabetical order. So we can directly apply sorting here. So to sort the values, we have 2 options. One is sort values, the whole values that we do have in that, and we can sort based on index. We have two options, so it's up to you how you want to sort the values. So we can apply it here. For example, based on the value we want to sort it, so I'll write it sort dot wedge dot sort underscore values, and it will give you in a increasing order. So here it is, I mean, potato, tomato, chili, and the entire values that we do have here in this. In case we apply this parenthesis, so it will give you output something like this. Here it is, right? So it has sorted the entire series. You can apply it here as well for the alphabetical order, sort underscore values. So it will sort in a alphabetical, all A, then B, then C. It has been sorted. Now the same thing we can do for indexing as well. Let me insert a cell below. So wedge dot sort underscore index I can do, and it will be sorted based on index. You see, so here it is, sort index. So C P R T, so it has been sorted in alphabetical order for based on the index. And sorting for new, you can also apply based on index. So new dot sort underscore index, right? So once you run it, so you see that it has been sorted based on the index. Now we talk about some mathematical functions that we can apply. For example, uh, maximum you want to extract the minimum, mean, standard deviation, that should be a mathematical value only, then only you can apply it. Apart from this, there are few things altogether that we can apply for a series. Let's say there is a series and I want to check whether we do have any missing record in that series or not. So we call it dealing with missing data, right? So in this series there is no missing record, so we can create a series to do that part as well. Let me create it for you. I have created a series called x and then pd dot series. I'm going to pass some missing records to that series. So how we represent missing record? np dot nen, right? Let me run then np dot nen. So these are the missing records we have in this series nen. So in case we need to check that whether we do have missing records or not, yes, we can apply a function which is x dot is null. Is null give you output in a true false, in a form of true false. In case you want to count the total number of missing records, yes, we can do that as well. And you see that I have applied some function, so it will give you the total counting of the missing records that we do have in x, and we see that there are two missing records in it. We can use is null as well, and we can use not null as well. Not null is the opposite of is null. Whatever is not null, it will give you that output in not null, right? So in next class I'll be covering how to deal with missing records, how to fill those, and in case we have missing records, how to drop those. So that's enough for today. I'll see you in next class. Thank you very much. Take care.